Good morning. I'm going live a couple minutes early, but I wanted to share a few things and I wanted to make sure my setup was appropriate. I want to thank you for coming and hope you enjoy this class. I wanted to share a few things that are coming up soon with Stampin' Up. Halloween is still a few months away, but this set will soon be available. This is a new Halloween set. They actually have some beautiful paper too. I didn't get the paper yet, but I figured I needed to refresh my Halloween supplies because I make a lot of Halloween cards for my grandkids. Anyway, these are Oh My Fright and Oh My Fright dies. And there's a more life-size version of the dies I took a picture of. But anyway, I thought these would be a fun set to work with. I haven't played with it too much yet, just mostly looked. But anyway, and then to go with it, I don't know how well you can see this. I think the picture probably shows you better than I could show you in person. This is the embossing folder, and it has the swirls and stars, and I just thought it looked like it'd be a fun die, not only for Halloween, but just kind of like if you wanted to do something a little magical, like unicorns or something like that, it would be kind of a fun embossing folder to have. So I'm looking forward to playing with this particular set. And of course, I've got to get busy soon because I got grandkids. And then the next set, this is one of the early Christmas sets. Now, what is special about this one? This is called Pretty Poinsettia, and it's got some, Christmas sentiments here. And these are the stamps that go with the set, but these are the dies, and these are some dies that are designed to puff up, like the phrases and frames dies. These leaves and the poinsettia pieces will puff up using, you die cut it and then you send it back through using, I always have to look at this, called impression plate. It's kind of like a foamy mat kind of thing, but using the impression plate, like I showed in my last class, using it for the frames, with phrases and frames. This I haven't played with yet. I've been busy doing other things, but I expect this to be kind of a dramatic effect. So I'm hoping to get a head start on my Christmas cards using this. Anyway, those are two sets that are coming up soon that'll be available. I know there's more, but I can only get what I can get as I can afford it. Now, hello again. It's basically time for the class to start. I don't want to take too much time with small talk, but while people are assembling, I wanted to be able to share what we're targeting today. This first card is the double Z fold, and I hadn't made one of these before, but I decided to give it a try, and I really liked it, and I think you'll enjoy it too. Now, here's an example, if I can get to you. One of those puffed up frames. I did a small one. I did not include the die cut because this piece of designer series paper is so small that I didn't want to have a big sentiment. I wanted to show the paper because I think it's pretty. Anyway, so it's up to you to find a small sentiment that would meet your needs. And then here's the inside. I'm using Delicate Dreams, is it called? Paper. And well, the dice that I'm using, the phrases came from Phrases and Frames. I honestly, I really like the phrases in this set, and I'm having fun working with the frames in various capacities. So that's the first card, and we'll be doing that one first off. And then this one is a easel card, and it's designed where you can kind of see the background through the vellum. But when you open it up and then you open it up again, it becomes an easel card. And you can put a light inside this part here to light up the image, the silhouette of the sailboat. There we go. Anyway, that's the second card. And then we'll be doing some paper cutting techniques for both of these cards. And I was tickled to find that this particular layout was used. Stampin' Up! Does kind of like a reward trip for those high producing demonstrators. They earn the points in order to go on this cruise. And I was looking at the pictures of people who went on the cruise, and one of the sharing cards, swap cards, one of the people in the group, and these would be all well developed demonstrators, the ones that really have been in the business for a while. One of them used this layout, not this exact card layout, but the cut frame, the paper for her swap cards. And I was just so tickled to know that the professionals actually use this as well. I've always liked this one. I like the idea of showing the other side of this beautiful paper, and this worked very well with this card. So those are the cards we're going to be doing today, and I'm going to put those aside for right now and move on to our set. Now this set, I explained already a little bit about it. I'm using the Phrases and Frame sentiments for it. And in your instructions, okay, in your packet, you're going to have, I've got a few extra things here, but you're going to have 3 parts to the Z-fold. And what we're going to do first is we're going to take and we're going to go and fold your Z-folds. Now yours won't be stamped. I was just working ahead because I'm trying to save us time. All right. So anyway, we're going to take and we're going to fold each of these folds. The short side is going to be on the front, and the larger piece will be at the foundation. There's 1 and 2, and here we're going to go 3. I'm going to fold in half and then fold again. Okay, so we have the foundation, we have 2 and 3. Now we're going to work on this first. We're going to take, and the paper, these 2 pieces are going to fit on the front panel, and this one will be on the last panel. And that's what I'm going to do right now, is add that. So I'm just adding glue to the backside. Again, you can use whatever adhesive you prefer. I like the glue because I like to be able to have a few moments to adjust the paper in the position I want it. And I'm going to put it on. It's going to have a narrow border, about a 1/16 of an inch. Okay. Same thing on the second piece. This won't take long. I'm just doing this now, and then we'll talk a little while we prepare the next section. and this settles or lets the glue settle in. All right. And the last one. For those that are new, I generally will put glue, maybe a quarter of an inch in from the edge. The reason for this is because when I use liquid glue, I have a bead on there. I don't know how well you can see, but sometimes that bead spreads out. And if I'm too close to the edge, it could leak out and cause glue issues, which we don't want. And again, just a narrow border. Now, in the center, it's going to be a little bit wider because we have to have the border on both sides. But, okay, that's the foundation for that. I'm going to add a little weight, not too critical just yet. But now we're going to work on the next section. We have the 3 pieces. And this is, I believe I called it B, middle layer B. All right, so I'm going to add the designer series paper just like I did the other. Now this is one that gets me. I really am using the dark side on purpose, but I love the other side of this. This would be one I'd be tempted to use in a card that would show both sides. Okay, and then in this case, I have a glob here that's a little bit big. A lot of times when we're cutting our paper and such, we end up with little strips that mostly aren't too much use to us. So I will use some of these excess strips instead of just throwing them away to help in situations where I want to spread the glue. If I want to keep it from seeping out the edges. There's one. Now this paper that we're working with, I fell in love with it. It's not the usual color scheme I would go for, but I just love the combination. And I've really had fun working with it. It's a little different because instead of gold, which we've had frequently, it's using a copper foil. And it just gives a refreshing change. Let's see, got to get it up so I can see better. All right, let's keep it. Okay. And then the last one's a little different. We will have the front piece. Well, actually, I've already stamped it, so we'll have the front piece. And then we'll have in your little envelope here, we have a die cut flower that came from the set, or the paper, or it's die cut from the paper. And then we have the blank end piece, which would be where you would stamp your sentiment. Hopefully those that got the kit, you've already stamped your sentiment and you're set to go. Okay, and then I'm going to add some glue to the back of this. Now, again, it's personal preference. If you wish, a lot of times, especially with the smaller pieces, see, I think I want to go this way. With the smaller pieces, you can use like reverse tweezers like I have here to help with positioning. I use it frequently because I want to see where I'm putting it, and my fingers are kind of big and they get in the way. So there we go. I'm going to let that one settle for a minute. Okay. Now, we're going to start getting this set up. Now, for this, what we're going to do is we're going to be putting these in, and they're going to be layering them. Now, what I'm showing you here is I'm setting this up, and I'm kind of getting an idea where I want to put it. Now, for some of you beginning, you may feel more comfortable to use some temporary adhesive while you're figuring this out. Because if you don't like it, you can adjust it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put glue. What I've done is I've kind of eyeballed it where I want it placed. I want it centered top to bottom and side to side. And then I'm holding this part here and I'm looking at this back piece. And basically that's what you're doing, is centering on this back piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add glue to this back section. Now, another reason for having that little wiggle room, if you will, along the edge away from, the glue away from the edge, is that when you have to make adjustments, you have a little wiggle room and you don't have to worry about the glue being exposed while you adjust. And that's one of the things I'm doing here. Trying to keep this all in line. Now I'm bringing this over. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Okay, I want it down just a smidge. There. And once that's done, then you take and fold this front piece in, this front Z, and you see where this is going to go. Now, this is one of those situations where I will use the tape runner. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to put a run of the tape runner here, and the cardstock kind of guides me as far as what room I have. And then on the edge of this, I'm going to go ahead and put some as well. Okay. And then it's sticky stuff, let me tell you. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to close the card. And then you have your first Z fold. Okay, this guy's had a chance to settle. Same process. I'm going to, I think I got some glue on my mat. I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on the back here. All right, and then I'm going to take it. I'm going to center it on this piece here. And again, top to bottom, side to side. And then once that's in place, I'm going to close this. And then I have the centered piece here. I'm going to take, as I did before, I'm going to add a strip of the tape runner here and here. And then I'm going to close it. Now, the object of this is you want this card to be able to lay flat. because we're going to be mailing it. But I want you to be aware that when you open it up, because of the nature of the card, it's not going to want to open up flat. The main goal is to have it lay flat so you can mail it. And then in this case, let's see, the one I want is here. I already had prepared my sentiment, and I used a couple of glue dots, not glue dots, dimensionals, to pop it up a little more. Okay, here's where my little tweezers come in handy again. Helps me place where I want to put it. In this case, my paper is cooperating. And right there in the middle, lets me see both of the pretty flowers. And then when you open it up, you have your room here to write your little note and sign. That is card number 1. How about that? Card number 1. Okay, card number 2. Let's get the stuff out. And what did I do with my samples? Let's see. There they are. I knew they couldn't be far. This is card number 2. This is where we're using the Sunset Coast and the Sunset Coast Designer Series paper. I also, for this sentiment, I used, let's see, this was called the Countryside Corner dies. I tend to go with graduating sizes of dies because it allows, and you'll see this later, it allows you to have a layer piece to peek out from behind. Like, I didn't have room on this card, but you could have put another layer piece here to help this stand out a little more if you wished. That's the Cornerstone Countryside Corners dies. The other dies I used in the creation of this is this the Sunset Coast dies, which this probably is a little more organized for you. Has these various dies. I used this one for this card, but you have a whole variety. I also used this little grouping of shells and the seagulls. Now, here's the picture of the actual dies. You wouldn't tell it from the picture, but these are actually the seagulls, and these are the shells. I used the shells for the stopper for the easel card part of this. And of course, I use this die for this, create the sailboat. Now, what you're going to find in your kit, I'll move these aside. What you're going to find in your kit, I had to think long and hard on this one. I wanted to do an easel card that allowed, I knew there's something more, that allowed for, there's the instructions, okay, us to have the vellum and a light shine through it. You are going to find a card base, part 1, and a card base, part 2. Now, I went ahead and I die cut this for you, and I purposely left the washi tape to hold on the DSP to the card base This has got a score line here. You're going to be folding it, okay? Do not detach this. I'm saving you some effort. And I'm going to check my directions so I don't miss a step because I don't want to cause us problems. Okay, so we have card base, main card base, and note that the card base is a little shorter. That actually will be the bottom. It's going to be a little shorter because it's okay. Yeah, because this has to fold in like this, and you have to have room. And this one, the one that's cut, is actually going to be the top piece. So it will be attached here on the top. Now, we've got some work to do with this. Let's see what order I put it in. Okay. Right. We're going to secure this before it gets out of control. In your kit, I have the piece of vellum. And I also have a couple pieces of white cardstock. I'll explain those a little bit later. They aren't accidentally there. They have a purpose. And this is your inside layer, which will become this piece here. All right. I'm going to set that aside for a moment. And this is a scrap from the DSP that I cut. And there should be another, yeah, there it is. And this is another piece of the scrap I cut from the bottom. We're going to be using both of these pieces, scraps. But first, we are going to tackle this fun. Now, you're going to carefully separate out. Don't, how do I, trying to get the right wording. You do not want to separate the DSP from the cardstock, but we are going to kind of separate it because we're going to slip this piece of vellum inside, in between the DSP version of the sailboat and the there, in between the DSP version of the sailboat and the cardstock version of the sailboat in the back. And what I'm going to do is we're going to use our handy dandy glue dots. And we're going to, let's see, there it is. We're going to secure the glue dots, use the glue dots to secure the vellum in position. Now you can do this how you wish. This is one of those times when I use the take a pick tool. I pick up a glue dot and I can kind of peek under this, and I don't know if you can see that piece of vellum there. I'm going to put a glue dot under that piece of vellum. It'll hold that in place. I'm going to take another glue dot and I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to pull this. I'm going to put the glue dot behind and squeeze. Okay. You could do it there, but I think we'll run into a problem. I might be able to slip one here. I probably put it in the front. I just do not want to disturb the alignment of the DSP with the card base. All right. Now, Now we're going to add some glue. And that's where we need to be careful. In this case, I don't know if you could really get the tape runners to cooperate, but it would almost, just very cautiously, add the glue where you know the card base and the DSP line up. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to kind of sneak in here. I want to get, okay. I don't know how well you can see me doing what I'm doing, but I'm slipping the glue underneath. Okay, another thing you can do if you want to is you can add another glue dot to the back here just to kind of secure the sailboat in the back. Now, this flap here, remember, this is going to be the short one, is the bottom. We are going to be applying this flap up here to the bigger side. So I'm going to add, in this case, you could choose to do tape runner. I mean, you have access, but I'm going with the liquid glue because I want to be able to adjust, because I want this to be exactly at the top, lined up. And you might have to hold it and let the glue dry, or you might use a weight and let the glue dry with a weight on it. But because that's a folded piece, I'm tempted to add a little more weight. And the stamping blocks are heavier. Okay. While we're waiting for that to dry, let's work on our inside piece. I'm going to move that off here. Hopefully that will still hold on. All right. Taking my cutter, and I'm taking this strip, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 2 1/4-inch strips. Now this happens to be exactly the same size as this inside piece, just so you know. I'm going to take it, and I'm using the measurement on this side of my cutter, and I'm going to cut 2 strips. There's 1, 2. You'll have an extra piece left. You might find something fun to do with that. All right. More glue. And I just put it on the one side lining it up with the edge. Sometimes I use the straight surface to help with that process. Okay, and then I'm going to do the other side. Now, I know this paper that we're using was popular right away and sold out, but I believe it's back in stock. Haven't checked recently. I've been tempted to get more of it, but then let's face it, pretty paper is always a temptation for me. Okay. While I'm playing with this, I'm going to go ahead and add my sentiment. Let's see. That would be, I have a habit of burying my things almost as quickly as I bring them out. Okay. That would be, let's see, we had, wherever this finds you, I hope it finds you happy. All right. I am going to be using this little one. And I'm going to be using this one. Get it. And one more. Okay. Oop, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Okay, and then because these are the photopolymer stamps, they don't have the regular padding. I'm going to stamp them while they're on the foam mat. I'm going to use Gorgeous Grape because it's one of the colors in the paper. And technically, okay, I'm going to stand up so I have a better view. Technically, I would normally stamp this before I put the strips on. Let's see, what did I do here? What color? Did I stay the same color? Yep, I did. And the little sailboat. There we go. Now I'm going to take a moment and do a little cleaning because the grape, Gorgeous Grape ink has red in it, and red tends to stain the photopolymer. While it does not damage the stamp itself, I prefer it not to stain much if I can help it. I like to be able to see clearly through. And some of the stamps that I use a lot with the red become harder to see through. So that's the inside piece we're ready to go with. Now this one I hope has dried well enough that we can proceed. And actually, let's see, put these babies back while we're at it. And this one. And, oh, that would be another thing I could hint for you. Okay, I've debated on these new sets how to keep track of what you have. And I decided that when I got the sets, I would stamp a sheet as the stamps were laid out, so that when I put them back, I can actually put them, okay, here this way, in order, and I can look and say, okay, this one I'm missing right now, and this one I'm missing. Well, that one is not really missing, it's just on another block. So it kind of reminds me of what I have and where that goes and what I might be missing. That's what I'm currently working with, and so far I like that better than the original idea. I was trying to do it with the actual folder, and it just was too flimsy for me. So here we are, and we're back to this, and this is secured to the top. Okay, and then we're going to take this piece and we're going to put it right in here. Move that out of the way. More glue. All right. And I'm just going to line it up on here. Kind of balance it like we do usually. Top to bottom, side to side. All right. Now, because we've glued this down, we can finally remove the glossy tape. Now, I would proceed carefully in removing it, only because my experience with glossy tape is that while it's meant to be removed or can be removed, the longer it stays, the more permanent it wants to become. So this was kind of an experiment on my behalf as far as this, but I'm suggesting you just remove it carefully, very slowly. Okay, there's one. In a way that kind of works to my favor, because I felt like it would be pretty secure hold for you during the process of us getting the vellum and the top, the DSP and the card base secured together. Okay, now the next trick. In your packet, you're going to find the cutout section that I cut out from this. This is going to be put behind. You line it up. Okay. And I'm going to close this way so you can see that it lines up with the front. The trick of it is you want it to be lined up with the front. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add glue to the back carefully. You don't want too much. You don't want glue squishing out. But I just kind of adding the glue around the edges carefully. Whoops, we don't want it sliding around. Okay, I'm going to have to make sure that's lined up before I do the rest. Okay, we want it in the place. We want these where it belongs, lined up. Okay, now I've got the glue on the back. I'm going to take this, I'm going to fold this down on it. I'm going to let that set for a bit. Use a little bit of weight. While I'm doing that, I'll show you another trick. Now, in your kit, you have the die cut for the sentiment. What I've done here, this is the new stamping positioner or stamp positioner tool. And what I did was I cut a template. Now, you don't have to do this right now. This is, just for your future knowledge. But what I did, I cut a template, and then I'm going to insert this piece right where it fits in the template. And then I have previously aligned the sentiment where it belongs on that template. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to ink it up. And I'm going to place it on the positioner in the two posts. And then it has these legs here that are springs. So you get it in position, and then you can press down. I just add a little pressure, bring it up. Now, sometimes it brings up the sentiment piece with it. Sometimes it doesn't. Again, I'm going to clean that because the grape has the red in it, and you can already see that it started to stain. I'm just trying to minimize it. And this is ready to go. I'm going to move this out of the way. Anyway, the template idea is really helpful if you are doing a series of the same cards. Speeds up the process so much. Okay. This should be secure now. We have our card, and we have the background. Okay, and then we open it up, and then we open it up. And now we need this piece here. Here's where that other scrap comes in. We're going to cut this to 4 inches, and we're going to be placing it down here. But in order for it to work as a stopper, it needs to be a little thicker. So what we're going to do, these 2 strips I told you about, they are 4 inches long, and they're the same width as this strip here. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to add glue to these and do layers. Now, I didn't want it to be so thick because the stopper is going to be on the inside of the card. And I want the card to be able to lay as flat as possible. And just add this to that. Line it up. And while that's setting, I'm going to cut this piece to 4 inches. Let's see, there's 4-inch mark there. See, that'll fit right on there. Add some glue. And while that is setting up, we're going to look at these guys. Now be careful because one of those seagulls is really tiny. And being that it's white, it's easy for it to hide. Oops, see, it just hit on me again. There's 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to set these on this little piece of paper here so they don't just get randomly lost in the white on my desk. And then for these guys, because they're small, I think I'm just going to do the glue dots with them. It's too easy for liquid glue to spread, and we don't need the problem of excess liquid glue. I'm going to put 1 on the shell. One on the starfish, or yeah, starfish. Oop. Okay. And then this one, I might decide to roll it up a little bit and put it on this. Come on. Oop. There. All right. So now it's up to you how you want to arrange your pieces. I love to see your creative ideas. So hopefully you'll have a chance to show me, send me a picture, whatever, of your inspirations. I'm just kind of spacing these out here. And then I'm going to add it down here. See, that one will still be okay. All right. More glue. I'm leaving about an 1/8 of an inch border, bottom and sides. We're almost done, but not quite. We need to add the sailboat silhouette and the seagulls, which I showed you earlier. For the sailboat, again, I'm going to resort to glue dots. I just don't want glue seepage. This one, I think I want to fold it a little bit. There. I don't want it to be too big for the area. And then this one I'm going to put down at the bottom of the boat. I folded it as well. And one more for the very top. Do you get the impression I don't want this to go places? Okay. All right. Now, if I can get this without too much difficulty, I'm going to use my tweezers again to line this up before I set it down. And there we go. The next trick, oh, you know what? I want to do the glue dot on the back of that too. Glad I saw that. All right. That is a very delicate design. And we don't need to have it get dislodged. Okay. There we go. Now we need the seagulls. And for the seagulls, there is so little. I'm going to use this as an example here. I'm going to take my tweezers, use it to hold it. Now, there's a couple ways you could do this. A lot of times I'll do a little pull of glue on my silicone mat. But I'm just trying to do a little dab of glue here. I might have to... okay, we'll use a different technique if this doesn't want to cooperate. All right. Open this up a bit. Okay, remember that little strip I talked about? Well, what I did was I put a little dab of the glue, my silicone mat, and I'm picking up some of that glue. I'm aware of what the reverse side is, and I'm using that little strip to apply the glue to the birds. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to put the bird in place over here. Okay. And then we got two more. There's another bigger one. So those little strips that we frequently throw away could be useful. I know I'll never use all of them this way, but it's nice to have something you don't mind just throwing away afterwards. And then one more, and this is the little tiny one. If I can get it. Let me bring this closer so I can see what I'm doing. Let's see. I want this. Okay. All right. I just want to see what I'm doing here. Grab a hold of it using that same strip and that same little blob of glue. And then I'm adding the glue to the seagull. And I am putting it in place. There we go. Now, believe it or not, I think we're done. Open it up, standing it in its position. And then I'm going to take and add, there's so much light in here, I don't know how well you can see that. But adding that little light, I know of a way to show it a little more violently. In a darkened room, that would show up just fine. But you can really see the difference here. When I have the light, getting over here, versus no light. You can really see a difference. Anyway, I didn't have a votive lamp at the time when I was doing that. So I had to use my flashlight, and I was having fun with it. But there we go. That is card number 2. And that way, the one I consider is the trickiest one. Okay. We shouldn't have any little pieces left, so we should be good. Except for our little scraps of DSP. I know we can probably find a use for this. That one I'm not sure of. All right. Yeah. I've got several of these to make. Oh. So. Oh, I didn't put... that's what I didn't do. I did the inside, but I didn't do the outside. Okay. Got to add this. Move the pieces. Add the glue. Now, I didn't use dimensionals in this case, but that's up to you. If you want to use dimensionals, you can. And there you have it. Card number 2. Okay. All right, let's see. Card number 3. Now this one is a technique for cutting paper, and I have several samples for you. You will notice on your kit that you ended up with an extra bigger envelope. That's because I was giving you a 6x6 Designer Series paper sheet as a guide for this cutting process. So you just have an extra big envelope. You might have a use for that. Maybe you want to make a extra big card. And what we have here, this will be an inside layer. This will be a layer for the sentiment. And why am I not seeing? Interesting. So we will get back to that. Hold on. Okay. This is the finished card. And I should have a piece of that. If not, I can make one. No problem. But I wanted to show you some samples that go with it. Ah, there, I found you. Ha. Okay. All right. So let me show you some samples. What I did was I took the 6x6 card, and as you can see on your instructions, I gave you a little design showing how to cut. Now, this is a non-directional 6x6. It makes it a little easier. If you have a directional, you have to do a little more thinking. You'll only be using 2 of these pieces on your card. So you'll have 2 more to make another card. Now this was the card we're creating, but I wanted to show you some samples. I wanted to show you this one because it could help you see a little easier. I took the pieces I cut and laid them out on the card base, and then I kind of designed around that. This is one sample. This is another sample. Again, the two pieces, and I laid them around and designed around that. This is the third example. And in truth, I like this one so much I was tempted to try and do this, but I didn't have enough of this paper for everyone to use. And plus, I wasn't sure if you'd have the colors or the. I could do the die cutting for you, but I wasn't sure you had the colors to do the coloring. But I wanted to give you some ideas of ways you could use this. Now, you also, if it was your preference, could just take one piece and work around the one piece. I happen to choose to do the two pieces. I'll set that up there for the moment. Move my other pieces out of the way. No sense in having the confusion. Okay, let's see. What we're going to do is we're going to start as the diagram describes. You can do this a couple of ways. It's up to you what you prefer to do. You can use your paper trimmer, and what I'm doing, let me move this over here, is I am measuring 1.5 inches on here. I'll set that down. And then using a pencil, just making a little mark there that I can see. If I can't see it, I'll mark it again. Okay, just making a mark at the 1.5 inches on each corner, on the corner, one corner. 1.5 inches, one corner. Hope I can see that. Yeah, I think I can. Well, the other side might have worked too. 1.5 inches. Okay. Now you can go back and erase those marks later, but we need to be able to see them in order to do the cutting. Now we are going to take and that one's difficult to see. Okay, I can see this one. I'm taking and putting that one mark on the track right in the line where it cuts, and I'm lining the other one down here at the bottom, and I'm just going to cut. Now I'm now going to keep these two pieces together. Need to keep them lined up and find the marks there and there. I'm making sure that they stay lined up. Okay, and cut again. Now you have 4 pieces, 2 of which we'll be using. This was described as a a 6x6 one-sheet wonder, where you could get 4 cards out of it if you wanted, or 2, as we're doing today. With the card the pieces cut, we're going to take our card base and we're going to fold on the score line. And then I'm always feeling if there's a slight unevenness, the bigger portion or the overlapping portion will be the top of the card. And then what I end up doing is I take one of the pieces and line it up maybe about 1/8 of an inch. Another piece and do similar. That one doesn't want to fit. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Okay, let's just, there. There we go. I'm just trying to keep them even as much as possible on both sides. And for me, it helps to lay them out ahead of time and then only take one side and add glue. Okay. Now, the one bonus of this particular card we're doing is that if things aren't quite exactly even, I've got the center section pretty much covered, so it's not going to be super obvious. All right, let's get you lined up here. Okay, and while that's settling in and drying, let's go to work on the cards. Well, let me see. I should follow the directions. Let's see. All right, because it requires a little bit of wetness, I'm going to do this part next. Now, these were cut from the, I'm going to call it glimmer paper, but it was the in color glimmer paper. And what we're doing right now, I haven't put the adhesive sheet behind it, so we'll have to use dots of glue. But what I'm doing now is I'm laying out on the cardstock. I'm not sure how well you can see that. I'm laying it out on the cardstock to get an idea of where I'll be placing it. I'll be gluing it down and fussy cutting. But I wanted you to see where it was, because what I'm going to do, in fact, I'll use this instead. This is Hydrangea Hue ink pad refiller. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dot of the glue here. And then, or not the glue, the dot of the ink there. And then I'm going to take one of my water brushes. I'm with water. You can do this with a regular paintbrush if you wish. Okay, and then I'm adding a little bit of water to this. I gotta let it get down there. There we go. Add some water so it's not real super strong. Using a strip of cardstock to kind of make sure it doesn't get too strong. Okay, I'm looking at where this is, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take like a circle and I'm going to kind of brush out from that. Okay, and then I'm going to have the color kind of on the inside of the flower. The same technique here. I'm going to add more water. And I'm going to add the circle and add the brush out. And then this will go on here. And then for my water brush, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, add some water until it's clear. And then it's ready to be put away for the next time. If you're using a regular brush, you can just do that with water and paper towel. Now, in this case, I'm going to use my usual technique I'm going to move this out of harm's way. I'm going to use my usual technique where I take the tacky glue, make a puddle of ink, and then use a sponge. That might be enough. Okay, I'm picking up the glue and I'm adding it to the die cut. Then I take the die cut, moving this aside for the moment, and I'm picturing where I want it to place. Okay, I just add a little extra dimension, having the extra color there in the flower. Okay, boop, 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 boop. Okay. Okay. We'll move that out of the way. All right, so that's going to dry for a minute. This has been drying. Let's work on our sentiment. And for that, let's see, I didn't think I'd talk about that very much. No, I didn't talk about it. All right. For this particular card, the sentiments are coming from branching out. I've got wishing you many happy moments. That's for here. Wishing you many happy moments. And then inside, it'll be happiest birthday wishes. So I need to, oh, and these die cuts here also came from branching out. Um, they're just basically called the branching out dies. It's this came at Christmas time, but it's not necessarily a Christmas set. And again, the layered die cuts, I like them. And so I got it. And I got it mostly for the die cuts. But then I discovered I like the sentiments in here. So, and then I made a lot of my Christmas cards with that because I really liked how it came out. Okay. First, we're working on the sentiment. We need to get. Okay. I use the Hydrangea Hue ink magnetic pad. And I'm going to use, again, we're working with the photopolymer stamps, which don't have the cushion already included. And cross your fingers that this comes out right. Aha, starting off. Got to have it right side up. That is a necessity. Okay. One thing nice about the magnetic stamps is when you get close, you just let go and it goes right where it's supposed to. How about that? A plus. I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on the back of this and get it centered in the gold layer. Okay. And then we're going to start cutting. Huh. Let me see. Aha. Except one of them abandoned ship. I was going to say, I didn't see the little embellishments that I included, but they were hiding. They're just tiny. Now, the trick that I've learned when I'm cutting these out is that I cut kind of gently, and if it's resisting me more than usual, then I know that I'm too far over and I need to move where it won't resist me, if that makes sense to you. In other words, I don't want to cut into my die cut. And if I feel like it's gotten more difficult, it could be because I'm getting too close to my die cut. I'm trying to infringe on the die cuts area. So I just gently, and sometimes I have to do several tries gently. And then when there's a gap, I just kind of visually bridge the gap and then get back to the die cut again. Almost done with one of them. Okay, there's one. I know a lot of times when I'm watching videos like these, the person who's doing the video is intent in what they're doing, and they might miss something, like where they set a piece because they're working on the next step and they set a piece and they're not seeing it. Well, as a crafter, I have discovered that I get involved in what I'm doing and I'm just moving things out of my way, not paying close attention to where I might have put them. And it makes it very, very easy to mislay something or cover it over. I'm masterful at covering things over. Anyway, I mean, how many times have you sat doing your crafting, hadn't moved from your location, you had something in your hand just a few minutes ago, and then you can't find it at all? Happens to me a lot. Okay, so we have those pieces now. We have this piece now, and then we have the leaves. Now what I did was I brought the leaves with you, and let's see. Yeah, that way. Okay. Okay, and then with these, because this is going up a layer, I'm going to put the far sides of the flowers on dimensionals and the front part just glued. Move that over here. Okay, and I'm using the small flower up towards the top and the larger flower down towards the bottom. Okay, and then this one. Probably down here. Oop, I want it to show. Has to show. So you might have to rotate it around until you get to where you can see your leaves. Maybe you want to go this way. No, I like it better that way. Okay. And this leaf will just poke out over here. That one's easy. All right, let's get this settled. Okay, I'm just settling this in here. Whoops. Gotta watch that sucker. It wants to travel. Okay. I want this one kind of centered. There we go. I love this paper. It's just so pretty. And this is Crisp Cantaloupe. It's a new ink color. And this is, I want to say Blossom Boutique, but it's using all the new ink colors. Peaceful Pine and Golden Glow, Crisp Cantaloupe, Hydrangea Hue, and I'm forgetting one. Oh, Barely Blush. Barely Blush is so pale it's easy to forget. Okay. And then for this, I'm going to want to do a dimensional. Okay. Let's see if I can do this in such a way. Yeah, I could do that. And then just add the little glue there. A dab of glue. Here's another one. A dab of glue. A little dab of glue. When these strips again, we need a dab of glue underneath something. Just get in there and press down, and you got your dab of glue. Done. This one. Okay, then we want to figure this out a little bit better. That's too much. I think I'm going to separate these out. Okay. Oh, that goes that way. And I want some glue. There we go. All right, so here we have the front. Now I'm going to add the embellishments now because I have this little runaway butterfly that's been trying to fly away all over the place. Do you ever have pieces like that, like to demand your attention or run off to their own area? It's best to capture them soon. Okay. And one more little one. Okay. There we go. There we are. Now we're going to work on the inside. And the inside. Happiest birthday wishes. This happiest birthday wishes, I keep turning to it. I know they have other sentiments, but I happen to like that one. All right. Going sideways. You know what? I could use this again and just move it. Oh, let's see. Okay. This way I can see better where I'm placing this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I just got to get it straight. Bring it closer to me so I can see a little better. All right, now what I've done is I've lined this up on the number 8 line. That's just for my own positioning where I want it to be even. And I've got it butted up against these little nubs so it's straight at the top. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to have to move that. I can move that closer. There. Okay, I'm going to take and I'm going to lower this down and pick it up. All right. And then what I'm doing is I'm looking at the lines to see if it looks straight, and it really does look straight to me. Okay, so then I feel comfortable in adding the ink. Placing it on those 2 pegs and then lowering it straight down. And there we are. I'll move this to the side again. And then for this, I'm just going to put the flower down here. Now, you have a couple of choices. You could put a glue dot right here in the center of this flower. I'm just going to try and put a few dabs of glue around it to kind of hold it in place. Okay. Okay, that was in color glimmer paper or pearlized paper or something like that. Anyway, that is ready, and then we'll add the glue. To the third card. Okay. There's our third card. Ready to be used. Okay. Putting my pieces back where they belong. Okay. That's the third card. Now the fourth card. We're going to be using some of the things we've already used. Let's see. Fourth card. Now I had I gotta get it out. Details. Okay. I really was tickled when I saw one of the top-notch demonstrators on the incentive trip, that's what they call it, cruise, had used this design, because I find this is a very fun design to use. And I actually made several while I was determining what I was going to do. I made several, and unfortunately, I had native on my card, so I used one. So anyway, uh, this is the card we're going to do. This was just another alternative using the perennial lavender paper and sweet, and I just I really think they're fun cards to do, and you'll be surprised it goes together pretty quickly. And also, if you choose, I've been putting the sentiment on the side here, but if you choose, you could actually do a circle or another sentiment just over the center and decorate it. It's sky's the limit as far as how you want to decorate. But for our card, it's pretty straightforward. Now there's again, I use the happiest birthday wishes for my sentiment. And I'm already going to go ahead and use the one I've already stamped because it's already positioned. But I wanted to show you what you do with your paper. First, you choose paper that the reverse side looks good with. Okay, that's the important thing. This is a directional paper, but it's not a difficult one to work with. You know, you just need to be conscious it goes this way when you're cutting, so you know. Like for instance, if I wanted this to be a sideways card, this way, I would have had to cut my paper so the design was going that way. Just be aware. And then bringing our trimmer back. This is 4 inches by 5 1/4. We're cutting this at the 2-inch mark. No, 5 1/4, 5 1/4, 5 1/4. Okay, so the 2 3/4 inch is the halfway mark. 5 1/4. No, 2 5/8. Halfway mark. Okay. And then I'm only going to cut to 1 1/4 inch, which is hard for me to see with the paper there, so I'm going to slip some paper under. So I want 1 3/4. So it's going to stop me there. Oh, I know what the problem is. Go this way. That's 5/8. And then I want this. Really? Okay, being difficult. We'll work on it. Try it this way. Okay, we'll line this up. Okay, we'll line this up. 5/8 1 3/4. That's my stop. I'm just marking my stopping point is what I'm doing. So, okay, 1 3/4. There we go. All right, and then once you have it cut, what you want to do, and I use my thumbnail to kind of guide me, is I'm going to fold to the corner from the edge of the cut down. And once I have that partially secured, then I just kind of keep an eye on it while I finish folding. I want it to go to the corner. And the same thing holds true with this. I find it's easier if I put like my thumbnail or something secure to kind of guide it where I'm cutting it, or folding it rather. Folding to, and then there. And then kind of adjusting it that way. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but you want it to have your opening enough that you can see your sentiment. I mean, you want to be able to see your sentiment. All right. So once that's done, now what I did when I originally was doing the card is I cut the paper and I laid it on in the appropriate place on my card base. And then I took that to my positioning tool and I marked where I was laying it, like the line it up with, like I did with the number 8. And, make sure it's straight. And then you set your sentiment that you want to use and position it so it's in this open spot here. And then once I have my sentiment positioned, I removed this piece, kept the cardstock in place, and stamped it. Because I've gone ahead and stamped that, we're saving a little time. I'm going to go ahead and apply the Designer Series paper, also known as DSP. To the card front, leaving like a 1/8 of an inch border around top, bottom, and side. Okay. Now back to our glue dots, if I can find them, which I'm sure I've buried. Yes, I buried them. I found it easiest to take a glue dot and just secure the backside of the flap. By doing this, if perchance you want to insert things behind the flap, you still have room to do it. I didn't do that particular trick with this batch of cards, but it can be done. Okay. Now we have the pieces. We have these 2 little flowers and one of these strands. That'll be for the inside of the card, the inside layer. And then we have these 2 copper fronds and 2 berries and a die cut flower from the Designer Series paper. What I found when I was doing this, I usually will try and lay my design out to get an idea of how it's going to go. But I know this piece is too long for what I needed, so I trimmed it. And then I lay it out. And this one I think worked out okay. All right, and then I added the berries. Oh, wait a minute, I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to add these in too. Okay. So I want those to go in, but you see how that's floating away from me? So it's important that these branches are able to frame the sentiment. So those are what I'm going to focus on first. And the berries will come a little later. And then I was using glue dots initially. When I got that positioned where I wanted it, I was using the glue dots to hopefully hold that in place, but also possibly hold the next piece in place too. That I place over that. Yeah. Okay. Now, what I also discovered in working with this design is that I needed a spot of glue towards the upper regions, but I didn't want it to be a lot. So I'm back to putting a dot of glue on my silicone mat. And using that dot of glue to transfer it to the top piece of the piece I'm placing. And then I'm hoping, there we go. And I'm hoping that the glue dot will hold it in the bottom. The same story with this one. I'm using that spot of glue to add a touch of glue to the top. And then I want to try and have the bottom. Yeah. And sometimes you might have to hold it a bit to keep it in place. And then here I'm going to be putting the flower. And I want to make sure that the flower is not going to be hiding the sentiment. And I'm going to put some dimensionals on this side of the flower. Okay, there. And there. Okay, I've got the dimensionals on there. And I want that to be set there. See, I think I'm going to want another dimensional over here too. I use every bit of my dimensionals because I'm doing this and it's already in place. I'm taking both sides off of the protective covering using my tool and placing it behind. Makes it much easier. Now I'm going to use my other I'm dipping this into that little pool of glue. I'm going to insert this down here. Okay, and the same thing's going to hold true for this. Got a good grip on it. I'm going to get some of that glue there. And I'm going to poke it down here. And then you have your little arrangement. Now we're going to work on the inside. The inside's going to go fast. Again, the stem was a little bit long. If you can see that better. I trimmed it. Okay. A little more of the glue on the okay. I'm adding some to the back. I don't want too much glue because this is a very intricate design and I don't want the inside panel smeared with glue. And then I'm going to take these little flowers and using the reverse tweezers that holds it for me so I can add a dab of glue on the flower. Okay, so I've decorated the inside panel. We want to add the sentiment. Let's see. That might be too high. Let's clean that off. All right.
Are you done?
Not quite. All right, we're going to put this here. Again, visually centering it, but also trying to keep it straight. And what I do is I pick this up. Oh, that's going to be in the way. Okay. Pick this up. And then I look at it closely to see if the lines indicate that it is straight. And it looks good to me. We're going to use Hydrangea Hue ink again. And we are going to go line it up, press it down, bring it back up, and there we are. We are ready with that. Moving this to the side again. All right. Adding glue to the back. Oops, wrong one. That's original. Ha. Let's get the right card here. All right. Adding glue to the back. Okay. Yeah. All right, there we go. And we have our fourth card. So there you have it. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoy your cards. This paper is just so gorgeous. It's a delight to work with. But as I showed you, this particular design works with so many papers. What you need to do is find a paper that the reverse side is very complementary to the front side. And how many times have we had paper that we think, oh, it's just so pretty. How can I put that face down on my card? It's hard. And this is one of the ways I found where you can show both sides of the beautiful paper. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. I hope this was a pleasant experience for you. If you have any questions, I am happy to try and answer them. And I usually teach classes on the third Saturday of every month. I don't know what cards I'm teaching yet. I've been looking at possibilities, but I haven't decided yet. So in this case, I just hope you enjoyed today's class and enjoyed seeing some of the new stuff that's coming. And I really, I really had a lot of fun with these cards. I was very happy with their outcome, and I hope you are too. So have a good week, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Take care. Once I find the buttons that I need to push and get everything else out of my way, right? All right, let's see. No, there we go. Bye.